Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and what I wanted to do today was actually talk about the Vanguard and just kind of do a little update on its performance. Now, it's been a while since you've heard me talk about the Vanguard, and it was a ship that I was so excited for. You know, everything about the ship seemed really, really cool. And the reason we're talking about it now is because that it's currently available as part of the Galactic Tour's Combat Ship of the Year, kind of like we just did with Racers. So it's between the Vanguard Warden and the Anvil Super Hornet, and whichever one of these ships ends up winning the voting that you can do on the RSI website, that ship is going to be on sale for about a week. And considering both of these are limited ships, meaning you can't just buy them all the time, it's a chance to get into one now. Now, if you followed the channel, you'll know that I ended up melting mine a while back, as I just really felt like I had too much money tied up into that one ship. You know, it's already an expensive ship, and then I had one upgrade to the Harbinger, and then I also had the battlefield upgrade kits to the Warden and the Sentinel, which basically meant that I had a lot of money tied up in that one ship, and I felt I could diversify myself a little bit by kind of melting that ship and picking up a few others. I haven't really used it since that point. Now, today was a really good chance for me to get back in and fly it around some more, and I have to say that I think the ship's come a long way. My initial complaints about the ship were kind of a lot. You know, when you compare it to the price point and what you're able to do with it, I didn't feel like the armament was all that great. Now, it had some good weapons on it, but the biggest issue was it had that big size 5 mount up front, but there just weren't good size 5 weapon options available at that point. So you were left with size 4s like the Revenant, which had its own issues, or you could potentially throw on like the Combine type of weapon on there as well. There's a couple different size 4s that you could play around with, but you didn't have that true size 5 to really maximize what the ship's purpose was going to be. And speaking of that nose gun, it was hard to really find a combination of weapons at that point in time that really had pips that lined up effectively. Now, what was happening was, you got, typically ballistics on that main size 5 mount, and then you had that quad laser platform, and you just had this really big differentiating factor. And when you don't typically play with gimbals, that can be kind of hard to manage and maintain. Durability was something that the Vanguard was supposed to have going for it. The redundant systems are supposed to be there. It's supposed to be armored. It's a military craft. And the redundant systems specifically weren't behaving like they were supposed to be, which meant that a ship that has a really big cross-section like the Vanguard has, it was a really big target that most people picked on because you were slow, not durable, and easy to hit. That's a really bad combination of things. And when you add to that the fact that the agility was bad, it was like flying a brick. It was really, really drifty. And I know it's a big ship. It was supposed to have some of that. But what it had in place was a little bit unpredictable and just made flying the ship not all that pleasant. It really just meant that the Vanguard was outclassed by other and cheaper options. Now, even though I did want to point this out, and I said it before when I melted the ship, was that I know that its true purpose isn't really highlighted in Arena Commander. The range aspect isn't even a factor when you consider that game type. So you weren't getting a whole lot. And even when you consider what we're doing out in the Persistent Universe right now, we're flying around one planet. Every ship can jump around one planet. Where that ship's going to really be highlighted is when you start talking about jumping to the edge of systems or going multiple, jumps, long-distance quantum trips, those types of things. And we don't have that in the game yet. But now that I've gotten back in the ship and I've gotten to fly it a little bit more, there has been significant improvements. Durability is way up. The shields stay up for a long time now. They actually regenerate fairly quickly. And even when those shields do drop, you end up having armor that holds up pretty well to fire. The controllability of the ship is significantly improved. Now, it's not agile. I mean, don't get into a ship this size and expect it to be like a breakdancer, but it performs a lot better than it did. And while the drift is certainly still present, it's at least predictable. You kind of have an idea of what the ship is going to do, and if you're using your strafing and your kind of adjustments with your roll as you're kind of going through those movements, you can kind of use it to your advantage. And if not, at least making sure that you're not kind of negating your performance in any significant way. And one of the biggest improvements is actually that size 5 weapon that we talked about. Now that the M7A size 5 laser is available, it's giving us a really great size 5 option because the weapon it packs a punch and the pip really lines up closely with that quad laser platform, meaning that landing shots is a lot easier to do. Now, none of those weapons are particularly spammable, but you don't necessarily need that when the pips are going to line up so effectively for you and the ship is significantly more controllable as a result. Overall, the updates that have been made to this ship in general make it feel like a real contender, even in Arena Commander where I say it's not necessarily supposed to shine. It's been a lot of fun to fly, it's a lot of fun to fight with, you can feel like you can survive these fights, and I want to get it out into the persistent universe a little bit more in that kind of testbed environment to see how it's doing there. But I'm really happy with where this has gone, and once the map extends, having the extended range on this craft is going to be a huge benefit. So overall, for me, it's got me really considering this ship as a part of my fleet. Based on the price and the performance before, it wasn't a value to what I needed it to be. Today, I'm thinking of that in an entirely different stance. So, you know, if you haven't gone out and flown it, or if you've never flown a Vanguard, now is a perfect time to do it. So I would highly encourage you to get out there, see if your opinion has changed, or form your first opinion from actually flying the ship, because I was really pleasantly surprised today. So if you have questions about the performance on this ship or any specifics, please let me know. If you feel the same or different, get it in the comments. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.